Welcome to our Proverbs and Purpose series, where we're diving into the scriptures to uncover how God's wisdom guides us to live with purpose. Today, we are exploring Proverbs 1, verse 19. Such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. This verse delivers a profound warning on the surface. It cautions against pursuing dishonest gain. But when we look at the surrounding context in Proverbs 1, verses 10 to 18, we see a broader message about the company we keep and the paths we choose. These verses warn against aligning ourselves with sinful influences, people, or actions that pull us away from God's purpose. I've got a question for you. Have you ever wanted something so badly that you went ahead with it, even though deep down you knew it wasn't quite right? I've been there. Hi, I am Dr. Andrea Richards Scott, your Purpose Guide, and this is Purpose Quest. We are breaking down the Proverbs chapter by chapter to see what it reveals to us about discovering and living our purpose and leaving a legacy. Today, we're going to dive into a story about someone who made a similar choice, King Saul. But don't worry, this isn't just ancient history, it's our story too. Let's go back to the Old Testament for a second. Do you remember King Saul? God anointed him as Israel's first king, gave him clear instructions, and set him up for success. So picture this. Saul, a humble young man out looking for lost donkeys, is suddenly told he's about to become the king of Israel. The king. Can you imagine that? He didn't see it coming, but God had a plan for him. At first, he's unsure, humble even, but soon the crown starts to feel a little too comfortable, and that's when things start to go wrong. Somewhere along the way, Saul started cutting corners. Saul's downfall didn't come all at once. It came in small moments of disobedience. Just a little choice that seemed harmless at the time, but then added up, and before long, he lost everything God had entrusted to him. Let me tell you, I get it. I stepped out of alignment with my purpose for 6 years. Yes, 6 years. God gave me free will, and for a while, it all seemed fine until it wasn't. I was chasing something that was good, but it wasn't God's best for me. But here's the thing about God. He doesn't waste a thing. Even in my detour, he was preparing me. When he called me back to my purpose, I had more support, more tools, and more clarity than I ever imagined. I'm here to tell you, it's never too late to realign yourself with what God has for you. Let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. Starting over feels scary. And I had moments where I thought, God, I've lost so much time. Can I really do this again? But here's the thing. This time around, the road is smoother. So much has changed in the past 6 years. Tools I once had to pay for or spend months learning are now at my disposal. And where I was alone before, I have so much more support. God never wastes a moment. Even when we step off course, he uses those detours to prepare us for what's ahead. And here's what I love about God. He's always ready to redirect us if we're willing to listen. Saul's story is found in 1 Samuel. It's a powerful story because it shows us what can happen when we put our plans before God's. It starts with a small act of impatience, offering sacrifice instead of waiting for Samuel. Then a bigger mistake, sparing King Agag when God told him to destroy everything. And finally, a heart that drifted so far from God that it couldn't see his way back. So let's talk about what this has to do with Proverbs 1:19. Such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. It's easy to read that and think, oh, this is about shady people doing shady things. But it's deeper than that. This verse is about alignment. It's about staying true to God's way instead of chasing shortcuts that look good in the moment, but steal your joy, your peace, and ultimately your purpose. When I stepped away from my purpose, it wasn't because I was chasing ill-gotten gains in the traditional sense, but I was chasing something that wasn't mine to pursue. And you know what it took from me? My sense of direction, my confidence, and at times my peace. But God, in his mercy, calls us back, and he equips us to move forward, wiser, stronger, and more prepared than ever before. Let's break this down into 3 key principles. First, avoiding temptation to cut corners. The world often glorifies shortcuts to success, but Proverbs 1, verse 19 reminds us that ill-gotten gain robs us of life itself. Wealth or success achieved through dishonesty, exploitation, or harm may seem appealing in the moment, in the short term, but it always comes at a cost. Jesus himself warned about this in Mark 8:36. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? Ask yourself, are there areas in your life where cutting corners feels easier than staying the course? This could be in your work, relationships, or even ministry. Remember, God's best for us often requires patience, faith, and integrity. 2, Stewarding your purpose with integrity. Living out your purpose means stewarding it well, ensuring that your actions reflect God's character. Proverbs chapter 4, verses 25 through 27 gives us this encouragement. Let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you, give careful thought to the paths of your feet in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. Stewarding your purpose with integrity means avoiding anything that exploits or manipulates others, has the appearance of evil, you'd feel uncomfortable sharing publicly, causes others to stumble in their faith. Instead, operate with excellence and faithfulness, trusting in God's provisions. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33 reminds us to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you as well. 3, trust in God's plan and provision. Here's the truth. You don't need anything that isn't meant for you. God is faithful to provide what you need, whether that's resources, connections, or opportunities, without you stepping outside of his will. Trusting in his plan frees us from the temptation to manipulate or to strive in our own strength. Psalm 37, verses 23 and 24 beautifully reassures us. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. When we walk in integrity, we reflect God's righteousness to the world and experience the peace that comes from being aligned with his purpose. Let's bring this home. Take a moment and reflect. Are there areas in your life where you're chasing good instead of God's best? Take some time this week to reflect on it. Maybe journal about where you feel misaligned. Look at where you might be cutting corners. Ask God to show you what needs to change and commit to taking one small step towards walking in integrity. Where in your life are you tempted to take shortcuts? Maybe it's in your work, your relationships, or even how you serve God. Write it down, pray over it, and ask God for clarity. I want you to know this. When we trust God's plan, we don't need to cut corners or strive in our own strength. Like it says in Psalm 37, 23 to 24, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. He will direct your path if you stay aligned with his will. Share your reflections in the comments. Let me know what resonated with you. What's one area where you're committing to walking in integrity this week? Let's encourage each other and hold each other accountable as we pursue our God-given purpose together. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. Watch my next video on Proverbs chapter 2, verse 8, where we'll talk about how God's wisdom protects us when we stay the course. Remember, you were entrusted, equipped, and empowered for your purpose. Let's stay the course together. I'll see you in the next video.